booktube, it's Breckie from Breckie Writes, and this is Breckie Reads. This is my spoiler-free review of Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. Passenger is a story of 17-year-old Etta, who is a violin protege living in New York City in 2015. On the eve of one of her most important violin debuts, Etta discovers that she is a traveler and has the ability to travel in time. Etta is thrust into the world of time travelers and wakes up on a ship that is at sea. It is while on this ship that Etta gets to know her companion, Sophia Ironwood, and how she is related to the Ironwood family of time travelers. And she also gets to know the ship's new captain, Nicholas Carter. Nicholas Carter is technically a privateer and not a pirate, and he is half black and half white, living in a time and place in which any amount of African-American blood makes you not white, and that is a really big problem. Etta is tasked with finding an important object that the Ironwoods have been trying to get their hands on, and only she has the skills to uncover. Nicholas is tasked with going with her, and they travel through many different times and places in order to track down the object, all the while discovering more about each other and falling in love. I loved Passenger, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was a great read for me, and if you like time travel as a trope, I think you will really enjoy this. If you like pirates, I think you will really enjoy this. There's just so much to be said, and I really enjoyed Passenger. One of the things I enjoyed most about Passenger as a novel are the two main characters. Etta is feisty, and she is very cognizant and observant. When we are reading from Etta's perspective, I can really understand some of her frustrations as she begins to cope with what it's like to be a 21st century female thrust into the 16th, 17th, 18th century, and having to acquaint herself with traditions and restrictions that are unimaginable today. I also really enjoy Nicholas Carter, for he is both a man of his time and a man outside of time. He carries a lot of guilt, he carries a lot of shame about who he is and about his life thus far, and for someone who's only about 20 years old, he seems very worldly and very long-lived. I think that Nicholas and Etta are really great companions for one another and really great weights for each other. Etta's a little bit more impulsive, and Nicholas is very thoughtful, much more cautious, and they kind of play off each other as they travel throughout these different time periods. One of the other things I loved the most about Passenger is the social commentary. When a fantasy book can both be an epic escapist read, but also offer really acute social commentary about the world in which we live, I think that the author has done a marvelous job, and Passenger gives us that. This is a beautiful book. I mean, it's beautiful in the cover, it's beautiful in the writing, but it also offers a really beautiful, precise, right-on commentary about the restrictions placed on women and the restrictions placed on people of color that are reflected even today. As you can tell, I've definitely tabbed this book, and I'm going to read you one of the sections that really stands out to me as far as the social commentary woven into a really important scene. This is from Etta's perspective, and this is when she's on the ship with Nicholas. Both the game and the orchestra metaphors were flawed. They implied everyone was a willing participant, but the truth was, she doubted that anyone was really eager to participate in the charade of society aside from the people who created and benefited from the rules. I love that. That kind of commentary that flows with what's happening in the scene, but also definitely harkens back to our own contemporary context, is one of the things that just makes Passenger shine. I also really love how time travel works and the mechanics of what makes time travel possible. I think it's a really interesting and compelling world. I think that there's some really interesting dynamics between the families that are involved in time travel, and I think the villain, Grandfather Underwood, is truly deliciously evil. He is a looming figure that you only see a little bit of, but kind of haunts you, and is a great villain because of that. Okay, so why is this only a 4.5 if I seem to love it so much? Well, there are two things that I think kind of pulled this down for me. The first is this does have a case of insta-love. It actually starts as insta-attraction, which I have felt. I think we all know what it's like to instantaneously feel attraction for someone. But this goes from insta-attraction, like really strong attraction, which I think was actually written quite well, to making declarations of eternal commitment and why things can't work and craziness in like 4 days, and that is a little bit extreme for me. And so just that sort of 0 to like 90 on the attraction scale and on the commitment scale drew me out of the story and made me kind of go, okay, really? That just kind of threw me off. The other thing that drew me out of this was we encounter Etta's mother Rose in a couple of different sections, and towards the end when we encounter her, she is very cold, and Etta had been kind of hinting that that is both true but kind of also untrue, and so that threw me out of the story and it made me really question everything that's come before, and I don't know if that was a intended thing or if that was sort of a writing thing that didn't quite work out. I suspect that'll be resolved in the second book, but we'll see. It was something that I didn't really enjoy, and I wish her mother had actually felt a little bit more fleshed out because she seems more like a ghost throughout this whole book. But I just really enjoyed Passenger. I think that this is a beautiful book. It's a beautiful cover. You can see the ship and the cities in the bottle. It's also beautiful without the dust jacket. I actually tend to take off the dust jacket when I'm reading in order to preserve it because I will tear it to pieces otherwise. So this was just a beautiful book to have. And Passenger was also just a beautiful book to read. I am so excited and cannot wait for next January when Wayfarer comes out. Alexandra Bracken has mentioned on Twitter that she might be releasing some potential cover art in the next couple of weeks, so that's really exciting. But all in all, I think Passenger is an excellent read, 4.5 stars. If you like time travel, if you like pirates, if this is something you think you would get into, I highly recommend it.